Well, hey audio everyone, Losity here, back in action for more Strong Heart Attraction. That's right, we must make no mistake. We're once again coming to the conclusion of the Great Ace Attorney 2, the resolve of Renosuke Naruhodo. Without further ado, make no mistake, I too would like nothing more than to lay this business to rest once and for all. Oh, they're all here. It's the gang. The conspiracy bros. Will the new witness state their names and occupation for the court, please? Oi! Barricaded. Governor of Barclay Prison. Everyone calls me gossip. Hi, sales shop. Your other persona, if you don't mind. Oh, I do beg your pardon. Of course. My name is Staley Viegel. I used to be the chief owner of Barclay Prison. The reason you've been summoned here to court today is to testify about the jailbreak of the so-called professor 10 years ago. Look, what, the professor? We've already been through this all that I thought a decade ago. And the conclusion was that there wasn't anything at all untoward happening. A convicted escaped from your prison, Governor. Hardly what you call nothing untoward. Well. The convict's death certificate was somehow falsified after he was allegedly executed. And he escaped the prison inside his own coffin. A plan of that complexity could never have been carried out without the help of somebody of influence inside the prison. Governor Caden, don't imagine that the passage of time will afford you any protection. If it turns out that you were involved in the plot to break Mr. Asogi out of your prison, then of course, the consequences will be very serious. In all likelihood, a capital punishment. Gods! Hold on there, laddie! Witness. Governor Caden. Aye, sir. You have a critical role to play in the public safety of our country. A great responsibility to shoulder. The significance of your testimony in court cannot be understated. Therefore, think carefully before you speak. And Prosecutor Osaki, if you threaten the witness again, you'll be held in contempt of court. My apologies, my lord. There's no disputing the fact that an intricate jailbreak plot was enacted 10 years ago. Clearly you were both involved in some way. So we will testify before the court now and explain exactly what took place. Very well. Let the witness give their formal testimony. Tell the court everything you know of the plot to break Osagi out of Barclay Prison 10 years ago. The jailbreak plot. And nothing but the plot. It was that day the Japanese joke was found guilty. The directive came from the prosecutor's office. I assigned the convict to the chief owner, Viegel, here, and put the plan into action behind the scenes. I was responsible for Osagi right up until the night of his execution, but I knew nothing of any plot. I didn't ken if there were some negotiations between the convicted and the prosecutor's office. All I did was carry out my duty for Her Majesty's Great British Empire. A directive from the prosecutor's office? Are you saying that was the jailbreak plot? Aye, that's right. Who sent it? Who authorized that plan? I cannot. Saying you don't know? Listen, there was a thing about the professor case that was not unusual in some way. Didn't ask any questions. I just did what I was told to do. More than that, I couldn't tell you. I see. But the jailbreak plot originated from the prosecutor's office. Then one thing is very clear. As suspected, there were clandestine dealings going on between Mr. Asogi and that office. The jailbreak was promised in exchange for Mr. Asogi admitting to crimes he didn't commit. That counsel is nothing more than speculation on your part. So, let me ask the defense. Yes, my lord. I fail to see how this witness have any more pertinent information here. Do you intend to assert your right to cross-examination? Absolutely. I have no intention of squandering a single opportunity, my lord. Seems all you Japanese are fiercely tenacious. Very well. Proceed, counsel. The jailbreak plot. So, it's found guilty. We gotta press on that more. We have to. And you say you don't know who actually issued the directive? Aye, that's right. All I can be sure of is that it was official. But if it was from the prosecutor's office, that narrows down who could have issued it straight away. But it wasn't me. I don't even say with certainty that it did originate from the prosecutor's office. What? There's no telling where it started. There's a fair chance it came from high up in the ladder. Basically, I cannot give you any indication of who was behind it. You can't be serious. All we can say for sure is that the order must have come from somebody in authority, I suppose. The likes of us on the ground, as it were, didn't bother with your idle speculation. We just get the job done. It's a terrible reasoning, but sure. It's a Virgil here, but plan into action. So they threw him under the bus. So Mr. Vigil, you didn't know anything about it at all? That's right. My only role in the scheme was as a scapegoat. That's right, isn't it, Governor? Some poor beggar had to take the rap for it. Alright then. Who else didn't know about the plan? I've no first idea, laddie. My part in the whole business was basically just dealing with the aftermath. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were some other folk in the prison service who've been given similar orders. So you don't know who else was involved? Aye, that's right. All I can tell you is that the night it actually happened, the person at the reins was Dr. Stevens. Dr. Courtney Stevens? Or Dr. Seath as she's known now. Ah, why did I have to get caught up in such a terrible business? Okay, what did you say to Osagi? Hold it! Did you not notice anything unusual happening in the the lead up to that night? Oh, everything was unusual. Exception after exception. After all, it was the professor, the man who terrorized the country as never before with his crimes. In order to hide his identity, he was forced to wear an iron mask over his head. A hideous treatment. The fellow was surprisingly docile for someone who'd taken the lives of 5 of the country's nobles. Being the chief owner, I was the only person permitted to approach his cell. I can still hardly believe that I was duped by my own country. I believe you jumped from the window of the governor's office when the jailbreak was blamed on you, didn't you? Gosh. Beagle, not apologize enough. No, Governor. I don't believe you can. You won't change what's happened. And what else can you tell us about the situation, Governor Caden? So we didn't know about it. Why didn't you know this? But you've already acknowledged that orders came from the prosecutor's office to arrange for the man's escape. There must have been some sort of negotiation. It's the only explanation. Well, be that as it may, but nothing about it. Witness stand is no place for telling what you don't know for sure. I can tell that much. I do. Then I presume you also know this. Not telling what you do know is a criminal offense. So you were just following orders. Is that it? Afraid that won't absolve you of your guilt. Man was still killed illegally, even if he was a condemned criminal. You may very well be found compliance in murder, Governor. So that's what it's to be, is it? Even with the threat of conviction, you won't break your silence. All he did was carry his duty, huh? Hold it! That's a fine line between what that means. Did he carry out the plan in its entirety? Aye, I did everything I could at the time. As you know, Genshin Osagi was shot dead in Lowgate Cemetery after the escape. Tell me, was that part of the plan too? My instructions were to deal with getting the jolt out of the jail and nothing more. Not tell you anything about what happened after that. Only, personally, I believe his death was the last part of the plan. Oh? So... Excuse me. Mr. Fiegel, is something wrong? Yes, sir. What can I do for you, sir? He's saluting now? What is it? Some sort of Barclay convention? What Governor Caden was just saying seemed to upset you. Did it bring something to mind, perhaps? The last 10 years, I've completely blotted out the memories of that time from my mind. I was betrayed by my superiors, in the name of my country. Just as my father was betrayed, it seems. But you see, thinking back now, I really can't imagine the shooting of Mr. Osagi in the cemetery was ever part of the plan. What makes you think that? Well, it just doesn't make sense, does it? To make the man admit the crimes he didn't commit with the promise of a jailbreak, only to kill him in the end. That's treachery of the worst kind. But the point is, if the intention was always to betray him, Why would there be any need for all the charaderies of an escape? Yes, that's quite true. If whoever negotiated with Osagi never intended to keep his or her end of the bargain, it would have been far simpler to just let the man be executed in prison, as dictated by his sentence. It all happened in the vast chamber of secrets that is Barclay, behind the high prison walls. Suppose nobody knows what really went on in the execution room now. Yes, it's an unsettling mystery, certainly. Truth be told, there's a wee matter that's never quite made sense to me. You believe there was some kind of negotiation behind the jailbreak? And it with Osagi and a body at the top? It doesn't quite add up, does it? Governor Caden, I must insist that you explain these doubts that you have. By amending your formal testimony. Gods! Aye. Go on then. Ooh, he's pissed. Seems to me the Japanese fellow didn't have nothing to bargain with. Oh. Hold it! Admitting to the crimes? That was what he had to bargain with, surely. I cannot see that myself. After all, did the prosecution have no conclusive evidence against the chalet? This, you mean? Discovered during the final victim's autopsy? There's even possibility this conclusive evidence was fabricated by Scotland Yard and the prosecutor office.
Objection!
Possibilities are all very well, but nothing has been proven. You can holler about misconduct in the trial 10 years ago all you like. But if you can't establish that it happened with hard evidence, no one's going to listen. Aye, that's right. So what I'm saying is, the convict had nothing. Nothing he could use for any kind of bargaining at all. The witness makes an astute point. Logically, it would seem no negotiation could have taken place. And the plan to break the man out of prison was definitely put into practice. So he must have been armed with something that gave him an angle to negotiate. So Osagi agreed to confess to the crimes because he was assured he'd be broken out of prison later. I really don't think Cosmo-sama's father would have engaged in such negotiations. Then perhaps there's something compelled him to agree? What a terrible thing. Using the law to legitimize such underhanded dealings of a desperate man. Only to double-cross him in the end. It's quite the opposite of justice. I can't help feeling there's something about this apparent negotiation doesn't quite add up. Something doesn't quite add up, Mr. Nardo? No, it doesn't. I can't quite put my finger on what yet. Well, in that case, we must keep digging until we identify the problem. Alright, I definitely think it's at the end of what we need to be looking at here. And I think what we need to be really looking at is the will. Hereby request that upon my death, any and all material possessions of wealth belonging to me in London be delivered to my son. It is a descendants that I accept my fate in the foreign land and acknowledge that I will never see my homeland or family again. But I regret nothing about my chosen path. That was his last will and testament. Maybe he was to never return to Japan as part of the deal? Because the only thing I could think of is this and this thing, but that's a bargaining thing. The evacuation drill wouldn't be needed. This wouldn't really be needed. That's not really a whole situation there. Mr. Vickles thing wouldn't be... Let's see here. Relieved of his post with immediate effect, having caused... okay. Aiding and abetting this person. Indications that the jailbreak plot was conceived. It's believed that the convicted engaged in some form of negotiation with prison staff. Full disclosure information remains. Okay. The only thing I see that relates to it at the very end would be the will and testament. Everything else isn't really there. And the only thing I could think of personally would be the blade. But the blade doesn't make sense as a thing for his weapon. But we've heard him on record state that he believes this to be his only weapon left. So, let's go ahead and get this, and then the only weapon he has left.
Objection!
Confessing under oath to murderers he didn't commit, on a verbal assurance of later being broken out of prison. Genshin Osugi was taking an incredibly risky gamble. Very true. There was nothing to stop the British breaking their word and executing him behind closed doors anyway. In normal circumstances, no man would stake his life on a gentleman's agreement like that. Which means that Mr. Osugi must have had a trump card. Something that guaranteed he wouldn't be betrayed. Some kind of weapon. Boss, the fellow couldn't possibly have had anything like that. But you know that he did, Governor. The Osogi Papers. The name given to the last will and testament of Genshin Osugi. Turns out that Mr. Osugi was hiding his will in his cell at Barclay. Chief Warner Vigal caught him with it one day. You squealed, did you? Hey, you weaver rat. I tell you to keep that a secret. You can't touch me now. Ugh. When Mr. Vigal caught sight of that will through the bars of the convicted cell, Mr. Osugi pleaded with the Warner. Alright then, but what's on that paper? The last will and testament. This will is the only weapon I have left now. The weapon? And after the convicted have been killed following the elaborate pretense of the jailbreak, that document mysteriously disappeared, didn't it? Well, yes. All the prison wardens, as such, they're the belongings of his cell, but that will was just nowhere to be found. And as I understand it, an exhaustive search was made for the document, which became known as the Osogi Papers. Governor Caden, I believe you ordered your prison staff to find it at all costs, didn't you? Ugh! Would I be right in saying that you knew? You knew that the so-called Osogi Papers had the potential to make great waves somehow. Jigs, what the blazes are you blathering about? The wheel was found, rotten proper, in the field of sale where I said it would be. But how could that be? Where in his cell? He all searched the place from top to bottom. Well, you didn't do a proper job, eh? You pilly-wally galoot. You can't criticize me now. I showed it to you before. I didn't know, you lawyer. Yes, you did. I have the document here. It's written in Japanese and reads, Last Will and Testament of Genshin Osugi. Which means everything is as it should be. Not quite, my lord. You see, there's an undeniable inconsistency here. What? What inconsistency? Mr. Osaki described the document as the only weapon he had left. And yet, this will contains nothing of significance at all. Nothing that would have given the convict any leverage. Are you suggesting, my learned friend, that the last will and testament stored at Barclay prison all these years is actually a fake? As has clearly been demonstrated already, what went on Barclay prison was far from above board. That last vilification by the defense was an affront to the entire British legal system. This absurd notion of a weapon is something for which we have only the former Chief Warner's word. The man could quite easily be lying, or at the very least, sorely mistaken. What? No! I definitely heard him say that, I swear! Really, we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to know exactly what happened with these so-called Osaki papers. A waste of time. If the will was fake, where is the real document?
Objection!
Mr. Viegel was stabbed in the back by the judiciary 10 years ago. We lost everything. Very nearly his own life. But... And now you're going to do it again. You're ready to brand him a liar and turn your back on him without even letting him defend himself? It's clear the Barclay prison is hiding something. It's clear the jailbreak was masterminded by somebody in the prosecutor's office. It's clear that some illicit negotiation took place. Is our lordship just going over to glance over? What did you say? We should hear more from the Chief Warner. Have him testify again! Trial must go on! It would seem that the vocal few here are utterly blind to the truth. Very well then. Let the witness testify again. Tell the court precisely what you think you saw the convict's last will and testament. Yes, sir, my lord. The Osaki papers. As the one responsible for condemned convicts, I attended to Mr. Osaki and kept watching over his will, his seal. The night after he was found guilty in court, he was doing something with that will in his cell. He turned the cell inside out. We turned the cell inside out, looking for it after the execution, but to no avail. When we found out about the Osaki papers, the directive came telling me to impound them. Document was in the folds of a fellow's robes that was left in his cell. Kimono, I think it's called. In his kimono? That's a lie. We searched every inch of the man's cell. We looked through all his clothes. It couldn't be true. Well, you're not satisfied with calling me a liar that was, eh? Whatever. There's nothing you can do about it now. You don't have any hold over me anymore. Other than the hold you like to take on my covert. Of course. Is that what you're going to do, is it? Are you going to give me a good shake again? Or are you too scared? Little and large. What a double act. We compiled with Osagi's will as far as possible. All of his personal effects were delivered to his family home. in Japan. As a courtesy to the homeland of the most notorious killer our country has ever seen. And we were much obliged. Confirm that all my father's belongings arrived safely. Oh, you cannot deny the handwriting is that of your old man, eh? Yes, there's no mistaking that it's my father's brushwork. Really? This last will and testament was the man's last weapon, was it? I think we could safely assume the convicted was merely prattling, knowing that his end was nigh. So, counsel for the defense, your cross-examination. Please. Yes, my lord. The Osagi papers. Oh, there's quite a bit actually. So, you watched over his cell, huh? So, would that mean that you converse with Mr. Osagi? Yes, certainly. Though there was precious little time before his execution was due. He was remarkably calm, considering his days were very much numbered. In all honesty, he really didn't strike one as a man capable of mass murder. And he confessed in full to the crimes. I know. That's all I felt compelled to ask him one day. I still recall his reply. I'm guilty of the unforgivable crime of ending another human's life. Yes. Huh? But he was so tranquil and intelligent. It put me in mind of the Eastern Holy Man. And what about the will you saw him with? What can you tell us about that? It was the beginning of all the drama. I remember it very well, yes. The night... Okay, so... Found guilty in court. He was doing something with his will. Okay, what was he doing then? And he pleaded with you not to report him, didn't he? Yes, that's right. Like the pamphlet, y'all. You didn't tell me. Blatant breach of trust that was. See that the man had a noble spirit. I found myself wanting to treat him accordingly. But according to what you told us 2 days ago, the convicted had been strictly forbidden from having any writing materials whatsoever. Yes, you're quite right. Ah, so when exactly was the will penned? That was before the man was reprimanded. In Barclay, obviously. Yes, at the prosecutor's office, under supervision of relevant authorities. I personally instructed Osagi to make a will for the benefit of his family in his homeland. Oh? In that case, why was it found in his cell? What do you mean by that? Well, if it was penned at the prosecutor's office, you would have expected it would remain there for safekeeping. Surely. Oh! It's curious. There doesn't seem to be any obvious explanation for why it was sequentially down in the convict cell. Oh, well, the defense makes an astute point. Well, Governor? A prison governor could not be expected to ken the inner workings of the prosecutor's office. In that case, Lord Strongheart, perhaps you could shed some light on the matter. I'm unable to offer an explanation here and now. Huh? I would have to consult with a notary responsibility for the will at the time. The fact that my father's will is discovered in his cell is clearly inconsistent with what was expected. I want to know why. Another inexplicable mystery, then. Well, the thing is about that will. Okay.
Hold it!
It was the governor who ordered the search for the will, as I understand it. Is that right? Yes. And when I reported back that we couldn't find it, he grabbed me by the covet and yelled, "Cannot I have disappeared completely in my face?" Alright, well, it's done to the governor to keep everybody working as hard as they should. I think the governor needs a wee taste of his own medicine, Mr. Naruto. The point is, it was clearly considered a very important document, wasn't it? But it proved impossible to find. That's right. Then before I knew it, it was in the morning paper, the blood-curdling article. The executed mass murder who'd risen from the dead. Oh, you mean? The article based on Mr. Drabur's experience in Lowgate Cemetery? Yes, that was it. The day after I read that news, I was summoned to the governor's office. And that's when the awful accusation was made. That you aided Genshin Osagi to escape from the prison, resulting in your immediate dismissal? I'm afraid I really don't remember anything after that. As the governor of the prison, I had no choice. Couldn't have done anything else. Okay, when you impounded them. And that directive came from the same source as the one instructing you about the jailbreak? Aye, from the top levels of the prosecutor's office. What name was on it? I didn't, can't remember. Can't know. All I can tell you is that my orders were to do everything in my power to find the document. Directive said it had to be somewhere inside the fella's cell. Document? Was that the wording? Document? Not will? Aye. That's what it said. Am I clutching at straws here? I just wondered if it was really Genshin Osagi's last will and testament that the sender of that directive was after. Continue with your testimony then, witness. Was in the road. In Mr. Osagi's kimono? Aye, the one he brought with him when he was locked up. Yes, he was permitted to have his personal effects with him during his incarceration, I understand. That's right. He was granted as much freedom as possible during the few days before his execution. Indeed. He had a number of items of personal significance, I remember. He was very reluctant to part with them. Some books, that kimono, his sword. His sword? Kuruma, the famous sword of the Osagi clan. It bears the soul of my family. I don't doubt it, but I wasn't really getting at that. Forget it being the soul of the clan. I might have a more obvious weapon. Have some respect, Renosuke. Respectful silence? Foreigners carry firearms at all times. The inmates had shackles around their ankles. Gonna hurt anybody with that thing. Still, he was allowed a sword? With no writing materials? Aye. He wrote that will afore he came to stay with us at Barclay, you see. Dr. Mikatoba was asked to bring the necessary Japanese writing implements to the prosecutor's office. A Susuri inkstone, black Asumi ink, and some henshin rice paper, no doubt. I was present when he wrote it. I'm sorry to say, the letter just looked like a squibbling, massive black earthworms to me. Well, it didn't.
Excuse me.
Are you feeling faint, Mr. Veagle? Mr. Veagle? Sir! He was Scarlet, sir! What? Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to blurt out like that. Less swaying and more explaining. Would that be helpful? There's something about the testimony we just heard. Have you recalled something of importance? Something of importance. Possibly, or possibly not. I'm not able to tell which way he's leaning, I'm afraid. My lord, the defense asks that Mr. Veagle be permitted to supplement his testimony. With this, possibly or not possibly not important detail. Permission granted. Go ahead, Mr. Veagle. Yes, he was Scarlet. He was Scarlet? The document was written in scarlet ink, but perhaps I'm mistaken. Oh. But that's not what it shows on the document. Oh, do we not actually get to see it? That looks red to me. So, I think we know what to press next time. With that being said, though, thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you can. And I'll see you all next time for more Objections.